disrupted.
America that I thought weird thing to happen.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So the voices are out. The polls are out on how Canadians feel about our beloved Justin Trudeau. You almost have to say it with a grit, because after all the years of scandals and the mishandling of COVID and the continuation of this absurdity of neoliberalism and corporatism and kind of this tech oligarchical fascist state that he's turning into, things are not looking good for him. Things are not looking good, and Canadians are really firing back. As decided by this new poll that came out. So this is, here's an article. This is from True North. And they said only 20% of Canadians say Trudeau's Liberals deserve to be reelected. 20% of the nation thinks that Justin Trudeau is doing a mediocre job enough to get reelected. That's not good. That's not good. Considering, and I'm even surprised that it's even that high of a number, because we saw what happened with the truckers. We saw the movement that was, cultivated with that. We saw the amount of people that were gathering together because they looked at the draconian measures of the lockdowns and the mandates and how the pandemic was just complete atrocity to people. And they're still doing investigations on that. They're doing the National Citizens Inquiry on exposing the wrongdoings of COVID and the response to it, and also the scandals involving the China interference and SNC-Lavalin and the We Day scandal. Like, there's so much that I'm literally surprised that it is even at 20%. So it goes on by saying that a new poll has found that only 20% of Canadians believe Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party deserve to be reelected. The poll also reports that 81% of Canadians want a change of government, and Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives are making gains. So there's the tweet there they're reporting. That's the poll that they're representing here. And you can see that the large chunk there in blue, it says it's time for a change in government in Canada, and there is a good alternative to Justin Trudeau and the Liberal available. And it doesn't look good, because considering the alternative is the Conservative Party, and the Conservative Party has just had many scandals as the Liberal Party. It's, this two-party duopoly system. And sadly, that is the effect that's happening here, even here in Canada, even though we're supposed to have a multi-party parliamentary system. It feels like we're an off-breed of the American system, where we just have a duopoly, and it's either Justin Trudeau or Pierre Poilievre. And considering the fact that Jagmeet Singh has tied himself with the Liberal Party, there's no really good alternatives. There's really no good alternatives. I would say the Green Party, and I still, I like to think the Green Party is still my safety net when it comes to political parties here in Canada. But even the Green Party has made a lot of wrongdoings. Even the Green Party has just committed themselves to, promoting more censorship and doing the things that the Green Party should not be even bothering with. You're the party about environmental politics and trying to conserve and do, green energy and renewable energy. Their first agenda since they changed leadership was to deal with hate speech. Like, it's just the backwards thing of what Green Party should even be prioritized with. So, it says, according to Abacus Data's latest national survey, of the 81% who want change, 50% say there's a good alternative to Trudeau, while 31% said there is not. 56% of those want change and think there's a good alternative would vote Conservative, while 25% would vote NDP. The poll also found that Poilievre's Conservatives are gaining ground. If an election was held today, 35% would vote Conservative, up 2% since mid-May, while 28% would vote Liberal, down 2%. Meanwhile, 21% would vote NDP, 7% would vote the Bloc Québécois, 4% would vote for the Green Party, and 4% would vote for the PPC. That's the People's Party of Canada that's Maxime Bernier put together. Regionally, the Conservatives are leading in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Meanwhile, the Conservatives have a slight edge over the Liberals in British Columbia and Ontario. The Bloc Québécois is the leading party in Quebec, and the Liberals are ahead in the Maritimes. As for the age breakdown, Conservatives are ahead of the Liberals in all age groups. The 18 to 19 age group does, however, favor the NDP over the Conservatives. As for approval ratings, just 30% of Canadians viewed Trudeau positively, while 49% view him negatively. 32% view Pierre Poilievre positively, and 40% view the Conservative leader negatively. As for Jagmeet Singh, 38% of respondents say that they viewed him positively, while 32% viewed him negatively. You know, I'm just noticing all this. All these are less than 50, less than half. So, and again, this is why I say that this is kind of like offshoring, the American system, is because, like America, here in Canada, our biggest voting bloc is also independents. It's also people that don't vote. Those are the biggest voting blocks out there because they know that regardless if it's the Liberal Party or the Conservative Party or even the NDP or even in some cases the Green Party, our government has already had a massive corporate takeover. Our government, same with the American government, same with all the other globalistic, neoliberal governments around the world, has been taken over by a global neoliberal capitalist regime, has taken over and plagued our nation's politics already. So regardless if it's Trudeau or Poilievre or Jagmeet Singh, the reason why there's no large favorability and why people are just giving up on politics is because they know, regardless of who's in office, we're still going to get the same outcomes. We're still going to get the same bullshit agenda used to oppress us and fall in lines with Bay Street, which is our version of Wall Street, or to deal with the corporate agenda. Speaking on the results of the survey, Abacus Data Chairman and CEO David Coletto said the opinion environment of the Liberal government is quite challenging. 80% of Canadians say they want change, and only 20% think the government deserves to be reelected. Despite this, the Liberals are still competitive because about 1 in 3 Canadians who do want change don't feel there's an acceptable or comfortable alternative to the Liberals. Most of them are voting for an opposition party. If an election was held today, but not all of them, a third is sticking with the Liberals despite wanting change. So that's the big thing to take away from this, because I see, people that are riled up about Pierre Poilievre. And I get it. He's, the opposition. He's a change from Justin Trudeau. He's good with those zingers when it comes to, the House of Commons. He's able to, throw zingers at him during question period. That's great. But consider the facts that Pierre Poilievre doesn't really have a fundamental plan, a fundamental action plan, and policies that would be a change for people, a better change for people, away from Justin Trudeau. It's just showing that there is no real alternative to this. That Pierre Poilievre is not really a complete opposition of the neoliberal establishment. That Pierre Poilievre actually plays towards the neoliberal establishment. And same with Jagmeet Singh. Yes, he may be good at the zingers, he may be good at the quips, but you can't run politics just on quips. At least Donald Trump, yes, he was good at the zingers too, but Donald Trump did have some planning. He did have some policies to play into pact, and he played the populist role, and then he got into office, and then he realized he got comfortable with the establishment and played along to their agendas, which is, again, just proves the point that regardless of leadership, regardless of who's in office, they're just the mascot to the already Tronius dictatorship, the corporate fascism that's already plaguing us already. So that's an interesting take to this, and the fact again, I find it hilarious that still 20%. That seems like they're really highballing it, Um, I I don't know. I'm just that's just my opinion on that. Um, and then also this I want to show too. So this is from Dan Knight, who writes for the Opposition Network. He's a former MMA champion, and he wrote this story. So he broke the scandal about Justin Trudeau and his involvement with Chinese oligarchs in undermining the election outcome. And Justin Trudeau had, was going to do an investigation on himself and elect David Johnston, who was the former Governor General here in Canada, as a special rapporteur. He was supposed to be like Mueller, and investigate Justin Trudeau on the interference of China. But turns out, when you elect your own person, that David Johnston was the Governor General under Justin Trudeau's reigning, it's going to lead to more controversy. And that's why David Johnston had to step down as special rapporteur appointed by the Prime Minister to investigate his own wrongdoings. And it says, in the wake of David Johnston stepping down as special rapporteur appointed by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, a storm of controversy has stirred up surrounding his final report. This report was intended to settle the clouds of suspicion hanging over MP Han Dong, who was accused of being a pawn in the alleged foreign interference operations conducted by the Chinese government during the 2019 and 2021 federal elections. But instead of providing clarity, the report has only stirred up more questions. One of the main points of contention is Johnson's decision not to contact Han Dong during his investigation. This omission raises serious doubts about the validity of the report's conclusions and has cast a shadow over the entire investigation. Adding to this is Han Dong's own actions. He left the Liberal caucus after these allegations came to light, and move that suggests that may be more to the story than meets the eye. His recent attempts to rejoin the caucus seemingly supported by some within the party further complicate the matter. Criticism about the report's fidelity isn't the only problem. Johnson's personal connections with the Prime Minister have been brought to light, leading to calls for his removal from the high-profile role. These connections, coupled with Johnson's refusal to fully disclose his sources of information during the investigation, have led to allegations of bias and favoritism. Investigative reporter Laura Love has been among the voices raising these concerns. She has also pointed out the haste which some media outlets have sought to restore Dong's reputation based on Johnson's disruptive report. Love's skepticism is warranted, given Johnson's admission that he has access to only partial intelligence during his investigation. The foundations of this report are shaky at best. Johnson's connections to the Trudeau family and the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation have only added fuel to the fire. These links have led to the claims of bias that further tarnish the report's credibility and have led to demands for more thorough, unbiased investigation. And that's where I think it was Pierre Poilievre mentioned in House comments that we need to have a public inquiry, the same that we're doing with the COVID response. There's a national public inquiry in the mishandling of the COVID pandemic. Why can't we do something like that? Why can't we have a independent, outsider, nonpartisan investigator on this? Because having your own Governor General does not seem to, it doesn't work. It does not work. It's going to be completely partisan, completely fabricated, the same that they did with the Mueller reports. They knew Mueller was a liar. He's a psychopathic liar, and he does it periodically, but they chose him to try to do a Mueller report on Trump, and all it exposed was the complete bias fabrication that they were trying to pose on him. In the face of these allegations, it's clear that a public inquiry is needed. Such an inquiry with the power to subpoena witnesses and documents is essential to get to the bottom of these claims. Perhaps the most pressing concern is Han Dong's alleged involvement with the two Michaels, Michael Krovic and Michael Spavor. These two Canadians were held in Chinese custody for years, and any implication that a Canadian MP had a hand in their delayed release is deeply troubling. If Don was indeed complicit in this delay, then the full force of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police will be brought to bear. This isn't just about one MP's actions, but about the integrity of our democracy and the trust that we place in our elected officials. If anyone, including Justin Trudeau, was involved in covering up Don's actions, they should be faced with full weight of justice. Canadians pride themselves on our commitment to justice, transparency, and the rule of law. These are not just principles, but the bedrock of our society. We cannot stand idle while these values are being undermined. As patriots, it is our duty to endure. Those in power are held accountable. The pursuit of truth, free from bias and partially, is a cornerstone of our democracy. And considering that a lot of people have less than little faith at our democracy, and the fact that less than half the country actually bothers to partake in polls and think that there is hope for a political party to help this country, it shows. It shows that people are losing trust in our institutions. They're losing trust in the parliamentary system because, like in America, it's being taken over by corporate criminals. It's taken over by lobbyists. It's been taken over by these evil sociopathic masterminds that want to underdo democracy, that want to trouble more Canadians, that want to oppress more citizens, and get away with more heinous crimes for themselves to enrich their benefits. And nobody's really holding them accountable because those same evil masterminds also control the media. And when they control the media, they control the message. If you ever read Manufacturing Consent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, no wonder why 81% are sick and tired of this regime. 81% are sick and tired of this chaos of Justin Trudeau and just want out with something. And what I'm just telling people is, and the polls even show, is that Pierre Poilievre may sound like a good alternative. It may be appear like a good alternative, but it's not really an alternative when you don't have a platform. And the same with Jagmeet Singh. So, really, there is no outsider force that could stop this establishment agenda unless it comes from us, unless it comes from a grassroots movement, unless we can get another party, an outsider party that's not developed with the establishment, the World Economic Forum, and hold together by a bunch of corporate lobbyists. That's what we really need in this system. And it just doesn't seem like it's going to be the case in this matter. So, and let's also not forget that one of the reasons that 81% of people are sick and tired with Trudeau is because, just like America, just like the rest of the world, we're siphoning our tax dollars that are supposed to be going towards investments and making the country actually better for society as a whole, is being sent off to neo-Nazis. Trudeau sends another $500 million in military aid during a surprise visit to Kiev. As there's a homelessness epidemic, as people are struggling here in Canada, as cost of living is going up, as rents are skyrocketing, as, there's still places here in Ontario and all around Canada that have boiling water advisories because their pipes are completely disintegrated. $500 million. Imagine if they invested that somewhere in that area. Can you imagine if they invested that in infrastructure or the hospitals or our healthcare system that's deteriorating? I know that's a provincial thing, but if they gave it to the province and the province does, promise to give that to healthcare workers, then maybe we'll have a functioning society. Instead, we just have this. We have a slush fund sending off to military contractors to send off to neo-Nazis to slaughter one another because it's better for profits that we kill each other, oppress each other, demonize each other, than actually finding a united front to go against the real evils of the world. And I hope that people, when they see that headline, can look at that and go, we need all Canadians alike to realize that this is bigger than Justin Trudeau. This is bigger than Pierre Poilievre. It's about dismantling this corrupted system that has plagued this nation for far too long.